So we're going to move on to corporate investment in sports. Many times when they were speaking, my panel since morning, from Pfizer through the doctors, everyone who's spoken has mentioned a lot more about money, cash, and injecting into the sport. So we're looking at how much corporate investment we can use in our sports ecosystem in Africa.
Well, thank you very much, Sicho. And let me start with you, Mostafa. Okay. Investment into sport has increased significantly globally in the past few years. If you look at the reports by the Sports Global Market that was done in 2022, it says that the sports industry will be at an estimated $350 plus billion in terms of value by the year 2031. Now, what is your assessment of the space? If you're looking at the trend and then the dynamics, especially in Africa, and how Africa has responded to this growth, and how different is the Africa ecosystem from the leading continents such as North America and then Europe?
Okay. I believe in order to tackle this question, I would like to start by shedding some light on the recent global trends and see where does Africa stand. The digitization of the sports industry is actually transformative and ongoing, powered by the recent growth in athlete data capture and analytics, the evolution of the AR technology and the virtual reality technology. Also, we have seen a lot of sports gaming and betting platforms coming into business, along with the recent rise of NFTs. Actually, the right shareholders and the sports organization are seeking to combine both virtual and physical worlds together in order to bring better experience to audience and engage more fans, especially using digital media. What's happening recently as a very increasing global trend is a very growing adoption of using augmented reality and virtual reality technologies, especially with the growth of adopting the 5G technologies, which is benefiting low latency for these technologies. We saw recent collaboration like the one has been between Deloitte and the USGA, the United States Golf Association, to create an augmented reality application that tracks shot in near real-time manner to enhance the audience experience and are offering 3D models for the courses. Also, we have seen a very successful collaboration between La Liga and Intel in bringing the 360-degree replay technology into the Liga matches broadcasted all over the world. So these are basically the global trends. It's all taking the techie path. We have seen also a very big rise in adopting the NFTs technology. For those who do not know about the NFTs, it's the non-fungible tokens. At a very high level, it's part of the blockchain technology. It's such a token that can guarantee the authenticity and uniqueness of trading digital products. So players, leagues, athletes are creating digital collectibles and physical collectibles, adding some enhancements on them using NFTs, and are offering them, making them available for sale and trade. Deloitte Global has predicted that the total amount of transactions over NFTs in 2022 may exceed $2 billion in transactions. So this is a very big amount in a technology that has risen in the past 2 years. Africa is not is not coping up with this sticky trend that has become very present on the global scene. Actually, the investment we can see in Africa, we can shed some light on some deals that are about purchasing media rights, team acquisitions, and investment in scouting and player development, like the trial we have spoken, Right to Dream, the CEO of Right to Dream talked about. We have seen also the announcement done by Rwanda in 2018, the deal of sponsoring Arsenal in order to strengthen the global brand of Rwanda for around 30 million sterling pound, if I recall right. So the difference is clear, I believe. Africa is still taking the first steps in investment in sports industry. We have a long way to go, but yet the better is to come.
Okay, I still want us to stay with Africa, and you mentioned a lot of things. That's augmented reality, virtual reality, and then NFTs. I want us to touch on NFTs because we've seen a number of clubs trying to get into it. Much recently, FC Barcelona doing so a few weeks ago. Now, despite it being something trendy and popping up, we also do know that there is a downside, which means that NFTs could be very volatile. From what you've seen so far with the clubs who have ventured in NFTs, is it one area that you think Africa can quickly catch up in terms of our sports and trying to bring in new technologies to help with development?
You know, it's not easy to adopt such a technology, because there are another aspects that helping the evolution of NFTs in Europe and North America. We have seen the cryptocurrency are coming to the scene on a very strong basis. They are sponsoring team. We have seen even some teams in NBA and NHL are accepting tickets, season tickets and merchandise sale using cryptocurrency. So it's, in order to formulate the question, it's back to the ecosystem. Would the ecosystem in Africa, in its current situation, support the rise on NFTs? What do you think?
Well, I don't think so, but that's a personal opinion. But we'll come back.
This is no bad thing.
Yeah.
This is no bad thing. It's a matter of time, and I believe we will come to the stage.
Well, I'll come back to you so we touch on which other areas apart from NFTs that African sports institutions could perhaps tap into. But let me come to you, Akofa. As an investor leading an organization like StarTimes Ghana, in African football, where we have important measurement parameters such as fan purchasing power or stadium attendance, not really as high as they should be. What realistic expectations do you have in mind when making a decision to invest in, let's say, a product like the Ghana Premier League?
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that StarTimes is a pay TV service provider. We're in 30 plus African countries, and we launched our services in Ghana in 2016. And seeing as football is a very popular sport in Africa, we decided to invest in the Ghana Premier League. And by this investment, our general expectation or realistic expectations were that we were seeking to create compelling content for our platforms, i.e. via DVB, which is the StarTimes decoder, and then also via OTT on the StarTimes On app. And another of our expectation was also to raise top-of-mind awareness and also build brand preference for our brand. We also wanted to drive traffic, drive sale of our products as well. And we also wanted some good PR by our association with the local football. And then we also wanted to position our brand through the association with the local football. So these are some of the expectations that we, as StarTimes, had coming into the local football scene as broadcast right partners.
Well, StarTimes are already in it in terms of investing in the local football. If there's any brand out there or watching, how would you give insight into some of these performance indicators that you looked at and for success, so that some of these ventures could also look at replicating that to be able to invest in our game?
Well, so for us, I mean, as a broadcaster, we are first of all always looking at the number of subscribers gained and retained by our association with local football. We're also looking at general revenue growth. We're looking at the brand positioning. We're looking at ARPU, i.e. average revenue per user on our platform. We're looking at growth of our social networks. We're looking generally at increase in product sales, and then those are the kind of indicators that we use to measure the success of our association with the local football.
Okay, I'll come back to you with our local football and StarTimes particularly. But let me go back to Mohammed. And I asked about which other areas that, aside NFTs, that other investors could look at in terms of the African game. And do you think these areas are even being exploited enough?
At one of the discussion panel, I believe our colleague Cynthia has brought to the table a very serious issues that we do not have numbers about the sports industries. And this is one thing that annoys and discourages investors before putting investment in an ecosystem. That's why I would suggest that one of the things that African governments has to adopt is a concept called satellite accounts. The satellite accounts is the kind of account that can track, say, we are going to initiate a satellite account for the sports industry. So it aims at tracking how much does the sport industry contribute to the GDP of a country. There is a lot of countries applying such a concept in tourism, in environment aspects, and so on. So such an initiative will help a lot in lighting the way for investment in the sports industry. I think we in Africa, with the specificity of our continent, the most two aspects that need a lot of investment is education. And our fellow panelist has tackled this part in details. Education for sports, this is very, very important. We need professional calibers who are capable of running sports business in a successful way. And the other thing is the infrastructure. Without proper infrastructure, we cannot have proper participation. We cannot have proper fan engagement, and of course, this affects the investment in a big way.
Okay, thank you very much, Mohammed. So Mohammed mentioned numbers, education, and infrastructure as some of the areas that need work, and probably people have to work on these organizations if they want to attract sponsorships and all that, which I think is a key point, because if you cannot tell how much you are contributing and really your true value, then how do corporate institutions invest in such a product? But Akofa, aside some of these challenges, you've been there firsthand. Would you also say that you've met some of these challenges and even beyond when negotiating and dealing with some of these sporting institutions?
Well, I'd say yes. All these challenges that he mentions, we have experienced, including the fact that most of our stakeholders in the football industry do not understand or appreciate the role of the broadcast rights holder. in the sense that you get most of these stakeholders, they're happy with the investment that StarTimes is making into the league. However, they still want to watch the live games for free. And this is very troubling from a lot of our stakeholders, sometimes even the media. I remember in the 2020-21 season, there was a Hearts Kotoko match, and then the next day there was a discussion all over on the morning shows on radio and so on. And I had an astute media practitioner saying that, oh, well, he couldn't find the game on free to air, and so he admitted that he illegally watched the match through a pirated feed on Facebook. And he admitted this on live radio in the morning, I mean, nationwide. And I'm like, wow, I was gobsmacked. For media people, I mean, we're supposed to be educating the populace about the importance of the broadcast rights partners, because without our investment, I mean, how does the league run? How do the associations get money for the clubs to go around and so on? And so it's very challenging. It's almost as if they are willing to pay to watch the foreign leagues. However, they are not willing to pay to watch the local leagues. And this is a huge problem. Another one that Mostafa mentioned with the infrastructure, for us particularly, it's very problematic in the sense that it's not just the pitch that is usually not green or not the best, but the whole venue, the match venue itself, most of them are not television friendly. So you go to this match center and where to even mount your cameras to have to be able to broadcast the game with good angles for viewers at home to be able to appreciate what they are watching are non-existent. So sometimes we have to resort to mounting some dangerous risers for our cameramen to just so they can, you know, project the game to some extent on television. And there's also a lot of negativity around the game, which also prevents the game from thriving and attracting a lot more investors.
Well, Mohammed, so far, a lot of the experiences that Akofa has shared is from football, that's the Ghana Premier League. But do you think that, or do you agree that there is a concentration of investors on football? I mean, it's understandable considering the amount of interest that people, not just in Ghana, but globally show in the sport. And what do you think other sports can also do to become more attractive for investment?
I agree, that's true. Football is grabbing a lot, or not a lot, the most of the attention of the investor. And that is because of a very logical reason. Football has the biggest fan base all over the continent. And on the other side, investors are seeking big return on their investment. They are not giving their money for charity. So that's why they are concentrating on football. Or in a more business term, we can say that football is an industry, while other sports are not at that stage. Whether we like it or not, the evolution of football from a sport into an industry in Africa, maybe it did not happen due to wise plans. It evolved due to the large fan base that are in love in the game and that attracted businesses to attach their brands with football and hence attracted investors to invest in football. So how can other sports take the same way and convert themselves from being limited to the competition on the field into a comprehensive industry? This is the question. I believe the responsibility here is a split responsibility between government and the governing sports bodies of these sports. From the government part, I believe that we need more investment in the infrastructure, and as my colleague said, it's not about the pitch, it's about everything. It's about the transportation, the communication, all the infrastructure that can lead to a proper ecosystem, a proper sports ecosystem. Another thing that I believe must happen in Africa, we need to integrate sport more into our schooling system. Our children in school have to be engaged in one or more sports. They have to be encouraged to discover their talent and follow their passion, especially in sports. This will have a very good impact on the diversification of sports being participated by the nations. On the other hand side, the governing sports bodies need, we have talked about this, the previous panels talked about this, need to have the right persons. They need to believe they can make a change. We need sport-minded persons in executive positions. On the other hand, they need to adopt the governance principles to achieve sustainability and to maintain this. If they are going into the right direction, we need to maintain it going into the right direction. We need to guarantee that the success is not a flash. It's a system leading to this success. I believe if this happens, I mean, the steps to be taken by the governing sport bodies, this will encourage and expand the participation base of these sports, and hence will attract investors to invest in these sports.
And I just want to take a final word, since you've delved into the future. What do you think would be a realistic meeting ground for investors and then sports parties to mutually thrive? And whilst answering this, you could talk about the way forward for all sports and how you basically just see the future of investment in sports in Africa.
Investors need to feel that they are getting value. So this is what sports governing bodies need to concentrate on. We should offer value. That's how we can attract investment. They should offer value for the brand, value for reaching more fans and reaching more clients for these brands. So once we are doing this, they will be easily attracting investors to invest in these sports.
All right, thank you very much, Mohammed. And Akofa, just to also wrap up with you, you mentioned a few challenges that you faced as an organization. Now, with that experience in mind, do you think that there may be some organizational, structural, or managerial problems which hinder the kind of big investments that sports can potentially attract? We'll just talk about the deficiencies, and also whether it has to do with the fan base, the mindset, the knowledge, and also going forward, how we can eradicate some of these challenges.
Okay, so with our experience so far, there's definitely deficiencies. I would say that it's all around administration, fan base, and everywhere. With the administration, we still have this thing where there's the perception that football administration is not transparent. And so they're always under dealings. That perception is still there and very rife. I think that this is one of the things that prevents some of the investors from coming close to the local football. The fan base, they also have their issues. For cases where you have fan hooliganism that goes unpunished, and then sometimes you even have fans attacking brands. You know, there was a particular season where we had issues like that with some fans. Social media was awash with StarTimes, you know, drop StarTimes, we don't want to see StarTimes, and things like that, over some issue with management that didn't even concern StarTimes. And these kinds of issues, no brand wants to be associated with negativity and get attacked on social media and even in the traditional media. And so that is also a huge problem that must be nipped in the bud. When it comes to, so there's administration, fan base, what's the other one that you mentioned again?
So there's the mindset, knowledge about expectation.
Well, with the mindset, like I mentioned earlier, for us at StarTimes, here we are, people think that even with all the investment we're making in the local football industry, we still need to put the game on free-to-air television for everybody to be able to access it. Just because it's the local league, it's our own, and so they need to watch it for free. The mindset is that the local things must be free, but the foreign ones must be paid for. You see, so the FA and all stakeholders need to amplify the education, let people understand the role of the broadcast rights partner, what they need to get back or what they expect to get back. And it goes for every other investor as well, title sponsors and so on and so forth. For knowledge about the terrain and the expectations, I think that in our territory here, most of the brands are aware or they know what to expect. It's just that they kind of underestimate the proportions of what they are actually expecting. And so when they are hit with some of these bad PR and the fans attacking them and the general negativity, then they just, check out through the back door and leave. And so I think that if all of these factors are checked, it will go a long way to improve investment coming into the local football.
It will definitely go a long way to improve investment in our game. Thank you very much, Akofa, Banson, and then Mostafa, Zakaria, for talking us through corporate investment in sport.
Thank you very much.